What's up, guys? Good morning or good evening, and welcome to the Netolic Pro League 4th edition. This is the first game in our brand new season, and let me tell you, it is going to be a good one. We've got ourselves 8 new teams that we've invited, aside from Team Life, which is the winners of the 3rd season. And this season, we're actually taking a little bit of a different approach as to how we're organizing it. This time, it's actually going to be 5 different cups, organized 1 cup per week. And the winner of each cup per week is going to walk away with $1,000. And then they still have the opportunity. The winner of each cup will then move on to best out of 3s down to the finals, which will be a grand prize of $6,000 for first place. So there's a lot of money on the line. And with me this morning, ProveAttitude. And I'm Barry. How are we?
Oh, doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be part of this new season of Netolic. You know, for those of you that don't know, Barry, I, and Ever were all casting last season of Netolic, and it was absolutely awesome. And now we have even more teams, newer teams that, well, newer to the tournament, but obviously these teams have been around for a long time. But they're playing in the Netolic League now, and I'm just so excited to have them here. This game is going to be DD.Dota versus Fnatic, and I think this is a great match to start off.
Oh, definitely. And it is the original Fnatic squad. That's Fly, No Tail, Era, Trixie, and Hani. But DD have recently undergone some roster changes. They are sitting with 1 stand-in today. Exist is going to be their stand-in. Usually Mania, I think Mania is new to the team as well. Silent, no longer part of the team. Fata is Hugo. Sachka is under Kalevra. And Bucking Mad is 7 Mad. That I'm sure some people have already figured out, but... Either way, moving right into our bans. Outworld Destroyer, first ban, followed by the Naga Siren and the Abaddon. Frankly, Prove, I am so impressed with how quickly Abaddon has become a tier 1 ban. He is my most favorite hero in Dota, aside from Terrorblade, and I think he's very much worth a tier 1 ban.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because back in Dota 1 in the competitive scene, I don't really remember Abaddon being that big of a factor in competitive play. And now in Dota 2, it's just crazy to see him come into the scene and just completely blow everybody's mind with how well he does. I mean, he is a little bit weaker, in my opinion, in the early stages, but just because... I mean, he keeps people alive, but he's not very good at being aggressive in that lane. So your tri-lane or your dual lane might be a little bit weaker, but nobody's going to die in that lane. And that's the silver lining of it. And then later on, he's just so great because he keeps everybody alive, and then you can't pick him off. It's not like an Omni Knight where you just focus the Omni Knight and he's too busy repelling and healing and guarding and angeling everybody else that you can just pick him off. Abaddon's not like that. He's going to be able to keep everybody else alive, and he's still going to be protected on his own.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to waste your burst on Abaddon. He'll just pop borrowed time. Then you have to, decide to hit somebody else. But very interesting first 2 picks here from DD. Darkseer and the Treant Protector. They've already secured themselves a 1 offlane. Why do I say this? I say this because Living Armor has got to be one of the most OP abilities to stick on an offlaning hero. Especially a Darkseer, somebody who already excels in the offlaning position. How do you stop a Darkseer creep skipping your lane... or creep blocking, excuse me, with Living Armor on? Frankly, you can't deal with that. You would have to devote so much damage to bring that down. And with that, Fnatic have secured themselves a tier 1 pick here as well. They've gotten the Bat Rider, which slipped through the banning phase, as DD decided to go with the Obsidian and the Wisp rather than the Bat Rider and the Wisp. Now, a lot of teams feel really comfortable banning the Outworld Destroyer. And I've had this conversation pretty often in the past few days, debating whether or not Outworld Destroyer has a valid counter in the mid lane. Most of the time, people just tell me it's Razor. But frankly, I sat down and I came up with Viper. I think Viper would do very, very well against Outworld Destroyer mid.
Yeah, you know, Viper doesn't need the mana, which is great. He can harass the OD out a little bit with his poison. So it might actually work. I've seen Kunkka get picked up a lot to go up against OD because he also doesn't need the mana. But any which way you spin it, Kunkka still gets harassed out of the lane just because OD's base damage is insanely high early on. And just those right clicks alone are going to get you out of the lane. So despite not needing the mana that OD is going to take away from you, it doesn't even matter just because he's still able to just right click you down. So I don't know. It's a tough call. OD is just absolutely strong at this point in the game, and you can't really fault the teams for these 4 bans that they decided to go with. And there's just not enough. 4 bans is not enough to get rid of all the good heroes right now, and that's why you see Batrider slipping through into the pick. So the Darkseer, the Treant, man, I totally agree with you. Already, these lanes are just already strong for DD. Honestly, it's going to be so hard for them to get any kills. Darkseer, not only with the living armor able to be available to him, he's also going to have his Surge. So with those 2 options for him, he should be able to get out of anything that Fnatic throws their way.
Yeah, and at this point, especially with how popular the Abaddon and Elder Titan are, there's too many heroes to ban. There is too many tier 1 heroes to go through and ban. You got the Weaver, the Bat, the Obsidian, the Wisp, the Naga, the Abaddon. There is far too many. One of them is going to get through at least once per game, and Elder Titan especially, very, very strong. Even just picking him up to have natural order. Yeah, you can argue that you can get better heroes if you're, only going to pick him up just for the natural order. But natural order by itself is a very, very strong ability in and of itself. And its ultimate is a very good supplement damage. Usually you want to have something else to go with it. Sometimes it's the Naga Siren. Occasionally we have actually seen Sand King in the Southeast Asian Dota. I know we saw a lot of Sand King last season. People were really favorable of picking that up aside with, something like a Tidehunter or even an Elder Titan we saw once or twice with it. And it pairs quite well with a lot of the bigger ultimates here. And Weaver is picked up by Fnatic as their second pick, and they did follow that up with the Bane ban. Can't blame them on that one there. Bane, very, very strong counter to the Weaver. If you get your hands on that Weaver with the Fiend's Grip, even just nightmaring them up to prevent the movement during a team fight. Very, very huge on that as well. You also wouldn't want to allow Treant Protector Weaver. I know you would, if you're running Treant Protector, gives you defensive advantage, you want to run him in an off lane, but you could run him offensively as well in a tri-lane, just with the living armor, kind of replicating what you would see with the Abaddon shield.
And Nyx is going to get picked up. And for Fnatic, this just means that they have, honestly, a lot of mobility on their team at this point. The ganks should come out in full swing. You have Batrider, who's going to be roaming a lot. You have Nyx, who once he hits that level 6 is going to be able to bypass any wards that are up in the river to prevent ganking, but he's still just going to slip right on past it. So DD is going to have to be really careful once Nyx and Batrider start getting those levels up, because they are easily going to be able to rotate to other lanes and help those lanes win their lane. So Timbersaw is going to be the 4th pickup for DD, another awesome hero, and this looks to be our mid hero from what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the Darkseer, very, very strong offlaner, and in this case, DD, maybe they're going a little bit overkill in terms of how defensive, or not really defensive, but defensively strong a lot of their heroes are right now. I mean, Darkseer already excels in the offlane. You throw Treant Protector into the mix, it's going to be terrifying. You look at mid, Timbersaw there as well. That reactive armor already beats out most mids. You go with a Whirling Death, reactive armor build, and how do you stop that? How do you deal with that? Especially now that Fnatic have picked up a very, very squishy hero like the Shadow Fiend. If Timbersaw gets his hands on you in that mid lane, he's going to eat you alive. Especially that Shadow Fiend doesn't come with instance-based damage. He only hits you once per instance. His right clicks only once, raise only once as well. So living armor is going to go leaps and bounds to protect Timbersaw from the damage Shadow Fiend gives. And it's going to allow him that much more aggression at the beginning of the game.
It's good that Fnatic didn't pick up a melee hero for that mid lane, because Timbersaw would absolutely rip through him. So picking up Shadow Fiend is great because they do have the range. They have some harassment. He has big right-click damage. But like you said, you have the living armor regen and armor, and then you have Timbersaw's reactive armor and regen. How do you even deal damage to Timbersaw in that mid lane? The thing is that Treant, he's going to have to decide, do I need to protect the Darkseer, or do I need to help out the Timbersaw? So if both of these heroes are under a lot of pressure in these lanes, it might be a tough decision, but you definitely do want that mid lane to win against that Shadow Fiend, because when Shadow Fiend starts getting rolling, he just wreaks havoc. But the silver lining to that is that Shadow Fiend is very squishy early on, and he's very susceptible to ganks.
Well, they could also look at running what we've seen quite often in the Shadow Fiend and run him in a safe lane tri-lane. And then you put 2 lanes of space between potential supports if DD is running a defensive tri-lane of their own. And so, I mean, usually when the rotations are just relentless from the opposing team supports, because shutting down a Shadow Fiend in the mid lane is really not all that difficult, but they do have quite a few options. Because they're playing on the Radiant, Shadow Fiend is going to have access to the small creep camp to farm some early souls. But usually, well, recently, more rather, we see him played in a defensive tri-lane role, and they do have the Batrider to burn the living armor off of Timbersaw in the mid lane. So Either way, they have two ranged options to put in the mid lane, and there's quite a bit of damage sitting on Fnatic's lineup right now. They've got the Nyx Assassin for the good burst. Frankly, both lineups on both teams are looking pretty strong. Although DD, they're running a pretty classic DD lineup when DD used to be captained by Goblack. We saw a lot of lineups like this. Rubik and Treant Protector were the favorite supports of Goblack to draft.
Fnatic has so many options for how they choose to lane this, and I mean, you can have the Batrider and pretty much mid. He can go in the off lane. He can even do jungle. You have the Weaver who can do off lane. He can do tri lane. You have the Shadow Fiend who can go mid. He can be in a tri lane. So there's so many different options for Fnatic to really run this, and they might just decide that after this last pickup comes out of DD. But both lineups look very solid so far. Shadow Fiend, he's gonna have quite a bit of burst damage once he gets those levels up in his raise, and then his right clicks damage are going to be pretty huge as well. Weaver going to be pretty hard to kill. They do have decent lockdown for that Weaver right now. Rubik is decent at locking down Weaver. Can potentially still, Flaming Lasso or, Nyx stun. So it has a few options for helping to lock down that Weaver just out of the spells that Fnatic has as well. Treant Protector is okay, but they're still going to be able to use spells during that, so it's not going to be too great against Weaver because you're still going to be able to time lapse out of that if you need to. And Mirana is going to be this last pickup for DD.
I mean, I see where DD is going with this. I mean, they've got the Treant Protector for the bigger lockdown. They've got the Overgrowth, and that's going to be pretty strong to keep a lot of these mobility-focused heroes in position, namely Batrider and Weaver, who are going to rely heavily on abusing position in these team fights, especially the Batrider. He's going to be hunting Treant Protector. He's going to be looking for Darkseer to pull them out nice and early and focus them down with the heavy burst damage that will be available in the Nyx and the Shadow Fiend. Now, the question is that if DD are able to initiate team fights properly with the Mirana ultimate, it's going to be very hard to know where this DD lineup are coming from, and Fnatic are going to have to prepare very early and pick up a lot of early detection to deal with 1, Nature's Guise, and 2, the Moonlight Shadow, whence Mirana hits 6. Those of you who are joining us right now, this is the Netolic Pro League 4th edition. This is day 1 of the Haste Cup here, and this is DD versus Fnatic.
All right, you guys. Yeah, Fnatic on the Radiant side. We have Trixie. That's going to be your Batrider. Fly, the captain for Fnatic, is going to be on the support Nyx. Notel will be Enchantress. Era, it's going to be on the Weaver. And finally, last but surely not least, Hani will be on that Shadow Fiend.
So, over on the Dire team, we've got DD.Dota, the only stand-in on their team right now. This is Exist in our solo offlane Darkseer. Mid lane is going to be Fata on the Timbersaw. Top lane is going to be Sachka on the Mirana, playing under Kalevra. DD, 7 Mad, bucking Mad, playing on the Rubik, and Mania going to be taking up the Treant Protector here in this top lane. Yep, thank you. Yes, he really thought that Kalevra is Sachka, yeah.
Fucking Mad, he has this pretty cool blog up that gives so much insight into kind of how teams think. It is awesome. If you guys have never read his blog before, he posted up on Reddit, so if you're Redditors, you've probably seen it up before. But absolutely check it out because he just provides so much insight. You'll definitely learn a thing or two about drafting or about kind of how teams think during strategy discussions and whatnot. So check it out for sure. Looks like we might have a small confrontation in the river to fight over this rune, and Haste is going to get guarded here by Fly. Might just pick it up to see if something can happen. And look at Exist, the stand-in for DD, backing up immediately. He's just going to head off to the jungle because that is such a scary lane to be up against.
Well, he knows that Fly is going to get some pretty early levels, especially that they've picked up the Enchantress in the defensive jungle. No-Tail is going to find levels quite quickly for himself, as well as the Weaver is going to stack up. Era is going to find level 3 quite quickly, and Fly will have his stun, or in this case he starts with Mana Burn. He's just going to move to the mid lane and harass out Fata with early Mana Burn there, trying to make a little bit of trouble there. But luckily enough, Fata has started with Reactive Armor, giving him a little bit of an edge there in that engagement, giving him the regen he's going to need to jump right back into this lane. But good play there from Exist. He knows that he's not going to get all that much in that lane, and sticking around would be pretty scary, especially that No-Tail could come out of that jungle at any time with an Ursa Warrior or even a net. Troll would probably be the best choice to waste the duration of Surge for him.
Yeah, there's always that potential for surprise. And since there's no one on this bottom lane, you could just possibly see that an early tower drop just from Notel having creeps to be able to do some harassment onto that tower. Or they might just decide to keep it pushed back, keep pulling the lane, and that's going to allow Era to get a lot of creep kills. And Weaver definitely needs that farm. He's got to be up to par to be able to go against the heroes on DD. You don't want to be squishy in the mid part of the game. Otherwise, despite having time lapse and despite having Shikuchi, you can get picked off pretty easily if you don't have those items to support you.
Well, what I'm seeing is DD, I like what Fnatic have done. They've adapted their playstyle or their draft in the reaction to knowing that DD is going to be looking for a pretty defensive team at the very beginning of the game. And that's given away when they saw that Mania was going to be playing on that Treant Protector. You realize the Treant is there for the defense. You can play it offensively as well, but it's more or less there for laning presence and being able to stay in the lane longer. And with that, they've already moved a lot of their heroes into solo positions. You've got Era by himself in this bottom lane. Fly, stacking and pulling, going to get his levels. Same thing with Trixie. Trixie is stacking this hard camp. He's going to get his Blink Dagger very, very quickly. And they're just looking to get a level advantage so then they can move out, have the level advantage over DD, and claim some of these early team fights. And frankly, it's a pretty solid strategy.
It is. You're really making it so that everybody's getting experience. And those early levels on Batrider is great since he can't go to the off lane. Shadow Fiend has the mid lane, so he can't go there. So being in the jungle is just fine for him because he can farm it fairly quickly by stacking and using that Firefly. Nyx having those early levels is great as well, so getting the experience and gold from these creeps and stacking is great for everybody in this lane. Notel's going to be fine in the jungle, getting his own creeps, and then, you know, you have Era on the bottom lane, and he's just completely content being down there, getting as much experience and farm to himself as he can. And right now he's tied, actually, with Batrider and Darkseer, so everybody doing great on farm this game so far.
Well, yeah, Timbersaw still leads our pack, though, in terms of net worth, sitting at 1,500. Era, on the other hand, the only people he's competing with are junglers, so obviously the value of his last hits are going to be worth a little bit more, and he's still sitting at 1,100 gold, and he hasn't made a purchase yet. He's sitting on a Ring of Protection. I think he had considered Tranquils, but now he might be started looking to change his mind, realizing that there's nobody in lane against him. He could look for something else, possibly rush one of his bigger items a little bit earlier, especially he knows that he'll have some earlier levels if he needs to escape with Shikuchi at level 4. No, in the top lane, a little bit of action. They've found Trixie here. Trixie decided to come up to this top lane. Good dodge of the arrow there as well. The damage over on Sochka, pretty big. They're looking for a little bit there as well. Leech Seed dropped on Trixie. A little bit of damage. Not much going to come out of it, though, unfortunately, is Trixie, now that he's level 4, he can actually look to make a presence in this lane, especially that Bucking Mad and the rest of this DD team really don't have the levels to go one-on-one with Trixie right now. No, a little more telekinesis. Goes up on Trixie. Still no reaction there as well. Sochka misses 2 arrows here, unfortunately. The second one really wasn't going to catch all that much. I think he was expecting the telekinesis throw into the arrow, which unfortunately wasn't able to be executed properly there. I think Rubik got a little bit scared of what the Batrider's potential is here. And that's one of the scarier things about going up against a Bat, is his turning potential. If you mess up your execution, even the slightest, the amount of fire damage you'll take will put you down really, really quick.
Yeah, he definitely makes people pay for jumping on him if he has that Firefly available. So you have to really land the telekinesis into the arrow if you want something to happen. And look at just the right-click harassment that Sochka is just laying down on Trixie. And Trixie, he's good at staying out of the fire and staying away from any dangerous situations. I mean, he's basically just toying with DD at this point. But if an arrow can get landed on him, he could definitely be in some trouble. Arrow's going to go down. He cannot see it coming. We'll see if he dodges in time, and he doesn't! First blood! Gonna go to DD. Very good pickup on their part.
Very nice there from Sochka. Good prediction there in the middle lane as well. Fata waiting for that living armor. Hani realizing the living armor just comes out, having to back off there as well as both heroes recompose. Salves are popped as well as they look for the regen to get back towards this lane here. Right now, it is a tie between Fata and Hani. They're both sitting at 27. Right now, it's just hard to really look at last hits and really make too much of a determination from there right now. Other than the first blood that went down, it's pretty even. But our experience graph is leading the way. Fnatic 500 doesn't speak volumes yet, but at the beginning of the game, that's probably about a level and a little bit here, especially on these supports. Now, what I'm concerned about is that this Nyx Assassin, Fly, although I would have expected him a little bit more experience on this pull from pulling, if he gets his 6 early enough, they should be able to fix some of the problems that we see on Nyx Assassin sometimes. Usually, some people who play Nyx, they make this bigger assumption that they can do more than support. And I mean, yeah, Vendetta is good, but some people assume it's this solo tool they can use to pick off a support in the jungle. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it really backfires, and you feed. And you really need item advantage here. Trixie, they're looking to ambush him here on the side, but he does have Firefly. He'll just look to harass, maybe look to put some damage on Mania as well, and possibly just return down to this low ground if he needs to escape. So he'll be just fine here as well. So.
Cliff jumping definitely available for Trixie, up and down the cliff. Doesn't matter to him. He's able to stay out of anything right now that Fnatic throws at him, other than that arrow that landed on him. I mean, it was a good arrow, but Trixie had no vision of it, so there was pretty much no way for him to actually dodge it unless his sixth sense just kind of kicked in there. But he already stole 2 camps out of DD's jungle, so great for him. But mid lane, Hugo, that's Fada. He might just be in some trouble here. Gets surged away from his stand-in buddy, and he's going to make it out to safety. So a nice attempt coming out of Fnatic to take him out, but just way too tanky with the armor, the living armor as well, and then the surge was there just to boot. And that's going to be an okay Fada for the time being.
Well, Fly still in jungle, still only level 3 here. It has been about a minute and a half that he stayed at level 3, just looking to find some kills now he is. I mean, he's got level 2 Impale. Can look to make something happen. Unfortunately, that middle lane isn't going to go down. It's going to be very difficult for Fnatic to really find kills. With, as you mentioned, they've got the living armor, reactive armor on Timber side. Essentially impossible to kill Fata in this middle lane unless you come with, 4 or 5, and you have to have Trixie. If you don't have Trixie, you're not going to have the instant space damage to burn that living armor fast enough before he gets back behind his tower. Unfortunately, if I had to look at it, both teams really lack disables, like solid, reliable disables. The only thing that Fnatic bring is the Impale, and possibly whatever that No-Tail can find in the jungle here is Trixie. Once again, just making these really, really cheeky plays on that dire hard camp there, but he's going to be found up by Fata. Fata looking to put some damage. The arrow to fly, expecting he goes to the secret shop, and it's not going to catch Trixie here as he retreats back to the Radiant Ancients. 1,100 gold in his pocket. He could have went for the 9-minute Blink Dagger. We see some Bat Riders do when they go into the jungle, but instead he picks up the Tranquil Boots because he went back towards this top lane here. And I think he would have been better off looking for that earlier Blink Dagger. I mean, if you're looking at farm per farm, a Weaver with quite a bit of farm is going to do better than a Mirana with quite a bit of farm. Especially that Shadow Fiend isn't doing all that bad either. Hani is 47 for 14 and he hasn't died yet. So I think he should have been satisfied with a 9-minute Blink Dagger. They could have looked to pick off Mirana earlier or bring down Sachka quite a bit earlier with rotations from, escaped me, brain fart for the moment there, from Fly, or No-Tail as well.
Huge pushes coming down on the bottom lane onto Dire's towers, and no rotation just yet. Looking to see if they do start. Looks like Sachka as well as Mania might just start heading to that lane to see if they can stop this, but the Enchantress push is just coming down in full swing, and now we do have the rotations coming through. Fnatic might just want to back up here. They might be strong enough to fight this. They do have level 2 available in that stun. Going to burn some mana out of Exist to try and help this push go better for them. Darkseer is great at stopping pushes. Does not have the wall leveled up just yet. You normally do see that. Waiting to level up the wall until later levels. So he can still defend just with that Ion Shell. We'll see if Fucking Mad wants to do anything here with the smoke, but he's in dangerous territory, being there all alone. Decides that it's best to back up, heads back to the mid lane, sees if he can support Fada just a little bit. But Hani doing really great in his lane, sitting at 72 CS, hasn't had any ganks come his way. His own supports have been rotating to make sure that he's winning that lane, and he is doing just that. He's doing great.
Well, DD have this really nice setup in terms of where they stand on a lot of their towers. As long as they can contest a tower push, like we had just seen, all they needed was Exist to be there. They forced out a few abilities. They scared them off with the arrow. That's all you're really going to need. Because then you've got the living armor. He'll heal that tower up really, really quickly, and it pretty much reverts back to its original state, and you have to look from the reinitiation that Fnatic is going to need to get back in and knock down these towers. I mean, they weren't able to take all that much down. And Mania, level 3 living armor, he can just heal a tower up so quickly. I mean, yeah, they lost their tier 1, but that really doesn't mean anything to them. It's the off lane, there was nobody in it. Sometimes, or most of the time anyways, you have to sacrifice that off lane tower.
Yeah, there wasn't really much that they could do to defend that. You don't want to rotate too much and lose out on that experience because if you see heroes coming in, Fnatic's just going to back up. So it's not worth it to really rotate. You sack that tower. Yes, it's a good 1,000 gold going in the way of Fnatic, but it's going to be okay. You have your own towers that you're going to be able to take down. Giving up that early tower is not that bad. You kept your heroes in the lanes. They all got experience still. And right now, this game is practically dead even. Looking over at the gold graphs, actually, it's not dead even. Quite a big gold lead for 11 minutes into this game. We have a 4k gold advantage for Fnatic. So pretty surprising now on the bottom lane. Confrontation is going to come down. Shashka in there in the fray. He's going to get picked out here. The fire is just too much for him. He gets burned out and has to go back, die, respawn. That's going to be a good 30 seconds for him to get back into this. But it took 4 heroes there to take him down. Shadow Fiend's still in mid lane farming, but you had everybody else down there trying to take him out. They managed to do so, and all the heroes got the experience and gold from it.
Well, frankly, this game is still going as Fnatic had planned it out. I mean, at the beginning of the game, we discussed how they were looking for a lot of their solos to get the experience up, and they're just rotating around the map. Now that they have the experience advantage, now that they have money as well, you've got the blink on Trixie, they have the initiation, they can just move down to this lane. If anyone comes into Weaver's lane, they say, okay, we bring Trixie, maybe we'll bring Fly as well, maybe No Tail. No Tail is in the jungle. He's pretty accessible. He's got his Zempedius as well, so the damage is there. And you'll just push anybody out of contesting Weaver. And Weaver with a Midas now, I think he got it a little bit earlier though, you have to stop him at some point. He's going to get out of control really, really fast. And unfortunately, I don't think DD would be able to stop a very, very farmed Weaver who looks to already be building into a Lincoln Sphere here. And I can't blame him for that. Or even a BKB. I mean, it could just be a casual Ring of Health for lane presence. He hasn't picked up Tranquil, so it could be a pseudo-Tranquil replacement. But either way, he can build that into a Lincoln's later game. And with that, Mania is going to go down to Shadow Fiend here. It's Fato in the middle lane. He's got himself a point booster. Unless you can get a 15-minute Bloodstone, 15-16 on Timber, sometimes I find Timber does fall off quite a bit quickly. And it's some of the issues that we see when people go mech on Timbers. Once you run out of mana, what do you do as Timber Cell? What can you do?
Yeah, that's why getting that Bloodstone is so effective on him because he really does need the mana. It makes him much more tankier, having that HP available to him as well. And then if he dies, he's going to heal up everybody around him, which is absolutely great for the whole team. On top of all that, if he does die, if he has a decent amount of Bloodstone charges, he's going to be respawning so fast that he's back into the game, he's back into the fight. So top lane, they're gonna go on fucking mad. This does not look good for him. Moonlight Shadow is gonna be popped, but it's gonna be fast enough. It is indeed. An arrow lands down on No Tail. No Tail does not look good to get out of this alive, but in the process, fucking mad is gonna go down as well. Trixie, he grabs Shashka. Shashka might just be in trouble. Nice Impale coming down from from Fly rather, but he does not make it out with his own life. And now Shashka, he's chasing down. The arrow is gonna fly. Is it gonna connect? It does not connect. Trixie, wise about that one, dodges it just fine, and now he's going to turn around, do a little bit of harassment. We have Hani coming in from the side. He's sitting pretty hurt though, Barry. I don't think this is his fight to take. He might just want to let this one go, back up. A Trixie, he's kind of forcing the bull in this one, but he's going to back up as well. That's going to be the end, making it evened up 3-3 in this 15-minute game.
Well, that's one of the big points that DD do take into it if they go into a team fight. You can't re-engage. Down in the bottom lane, they're looking for a kill on Arrow. The Ion Shell is there. The damage is there as well. He doesn't have the time. Last 15 seconds. The ward is dropped on the outside. All they need is one more, and they will find it on the Weaver. Exist picks up the kill. Little bit of a misplay from Arrow there going into the side jungle. I don't think he expected that they would have had wards to be able to block or detect him as soon as he came out, but on the topic we were going to discuss there, I mean, that's the best thing that DD, you can't, if you're going to try and take a fight over DD, you have to take it very quickly. You cannot let the fights drag on, because if you do, they're just going to flip it around very, very quickly with the living armor. Their heroes are going to come back into these fights healed up with the living armor, with the bottle that Mirana has as well. You've also got mana boots sitting on, only on Mania, so you can have quite a bit, but Bucky Maddie's got the telekinesis, goes in on Fly. Fly popping the spiked Carapace, but not much is going to come out of it there. Sachka wasn't going to follow up with the arrow, so they're going to be looking to push this tier 1 now. Fly as well as No Tail. No Tail coming up to this top lane. He has level 6 if they're looking to defend this. And right away, DD are just going to back off. Smoke. Move towards the mid lane. I think they need to find a kill on Hani now. Hani, well, they're looking forward to the mid lane. Right away, blink on Fata. The ultimate goes down, but it really doesn't do all that much damage. He is just so tanky, but he's still going to go down, but they're not done. They still want to find a kill here in this middle lane. They're looking for a kill on Hani and Trixie. Trixie taking quite a bit of damage, and Exist is going to slip through for that kill on Batrider, but they want it on Fly. Fly forced to pop the Vendetta. He has the opportunity to turn this around and look for a kill, and they are going to turn it on Treant Protector as the rest of DD is forced back behind their tower as what DD thought could have went well for them. They did drop a bat and a buyback now apparently as well.
The initiation out of Batrider is just so great at this point into the game, and even Fly getting in there with the Vendetta, but now we have a confrontation mid lane. Fly, he's going to get hit by the arrow, pops up the Spiked Carapace. Doesn't matter though, he still goes down. Shoshka is going to get out of here just fine, even fucking mad, trying to get in on the action and prevent any chase that might come in the way of Shoshka. So he gets out of there just fine. 5-6 is the score right now. Darkseer making things happen this game. He's sitting at 3 kills. That bottom lane with the Weaver was just such a good initiation. He vacuumed the Weaver back into the Tower Vision, and then Telekinesis also pulled the Weaver back into the Tower Vision. And it was just such great play, such good teamwork. The coordination from DD was just completely there on their side. So game going good so far. Only 1 tower to fall so far on the Dire side, Radiant side. No-Tail though on the top lane gets hit by an arrow. They're going to go ahead and dive on this. Fada getting in there. Chakram is going to secure the kill. Very nice pick up there. Once again, those arrows are flying and they are hitting their targets, and now we might just have a counter initiation. Trixie looking for a Blink Dagger on that one. Couldn't quite get there in time. If he had landed that Blink Dagger into a lasso, death would have happened for DD. That's for sure.
DD realized they've got to get something over on Fata. They're looking to make him part of all of these kills and finding that there as well. He's looking for the arrow. Arrow does hit Trixie. If they can bring Trixie down, and they can, the burst is there. They're looking to trade it on Hani as well. He's got the Timber Chain diving past the tier 1. Instead, they will just back off, satisfied with the Batrider kill, and that they should be. I mean, Mania coming into support as well. They know that Fnatic aren't going to be able to turn around and make much of a fight out of it without the Batrider initiation. We have yet to see a really just a team fight, a 5-on-5 engagement from either team to really judge whether or not either team has a better team fight lineup. But I mean, if we're looking at combos, DD, they do have the vacuum into the overgrowth, but aside from that, they don't have all that much AoE. If they can get the Chakram in a good position, if they can get the Starstorm, there's a decent amount of AoE there as well.
Trixie going in with the initiation, grabs a hold of Fucking Mad, but now Fucking Mad, he's going to get out of here just fine. Trixie started that fight a little too early. It did not go in his way. Now, Era getting in deep, trying to pick off Fucking Mad. Fucking Mad goes down. Fada trying to help out with that Shoshka in deep. The wall, it is not going to help save him in that regard, and now Exist. He's trying to make his escape, but Hani hot on his heel. A few more right clicks going to do it. That's it. Exist is down for the count. Era is going to make it out of here just fine, diving deep into the tower, but it's okay. Fada making his grand escape. Era should not dive this. It's a little too risky, but Barry, that's 4 down for DD. Fnatic only losing 1 in that engagement, so coming out ahead on that one.
Well, even though Fnatic have dropped a few kills, they still haven't dropped their lead. The gold graph and the experience graph still shift in their, or lean in their favor more rather, so they're still in control of this game, I would say. I mean, they have the farm on Shadow Fiend. He is leading right now, 132-17, game leading with the Weaver as well. And even on net worth, they are leaps and bounds ahead of this Mirana as well as this Timbersaw. And they are better late game cores than what DD are bringing. They need the lead. They really, really need the lead moving into a mid or a late game phase, because without it, you're just going to get Weaver and Shadow Fiend just laughing at you. They are just going to right-click your team to death. And yeah, you can bring a lot of magical damage, but Shadow Fiend, he's already looking towards that BKB. He's actually just finished it right now. So a lot of what DD are bringing is going to be pretty irrelevant. The Timbersaw being the biggest damage dealer to this Shadow Fiend at this point in the game just becomes absolutely irrelevant. And that's a very big concerning factor for me. If they can't bring down Shadow Fiend, he is just going to do so much damage. And you're going to have to deal with Era. Era's starting to get really slippery. He's actually decided to go for a Radiance now. It was a casual Ring of Health. He's going to build into that Radiance here, but action. Radiant Jungle, they're making the rotations down. Instead, they're just going to look to knock a tier 1 down, and right away Fnatic realize they're okay with this. They're not going to look to contest. They've got bigger fish to fry, and that's going to be the tier 2 of DD in this top lane here, being pushed out by Era and Hani.
I do totally agree with you that as this game gets later, Fnatic is just going to have so much right-click damage. But now top lane, it looks like Fada is going to get into the action. He has Moonlight Shadow to assist him. He's the only one there, though, so he can't really overcommit on this one. So back to kind of what I was saying about what you were saying about the right-click damage being a lot. The thing is that they have to take that Shadow Fiend by surprise. And if he pops that BKB, I feel like there's not anything that DD.Dota can do. There's nothing that they can do to stop that when he's matched with me. But now, Fada, he's in so much trouble. The TP supports are coming through. It shouldn't be fast enough. Hani even going to pop the ultimate on that one to secure that very quickly. Now, the rest of the heroes fucking mad. Just taking huge impetus damage from No-Tail. Mania is going to get picked off here as well. It's just not there for DD. They needed everybody there, but running in one by one with the tower, not allowing everybody to get there at the same time, that TP cooldown was just too much, and as a result, they're just able to focus one person at a time. And Fnatic, they take 3 heroes, they take the tower, they lose a tier 1 tower on bottom, but you can't argue that the trades are definitely going in the way of Fnatic. And taking a look at the gold graphs on that note, starting to just get bigger and bigger as we near that 7.5k marker. Fnatic just looking very primed to take this.
They're just looking so strong, and although some people might say the early game didn't go so well for them, it went according to their plan. They didn't drop too much, and they still maintained a decent lead on the heroes that matter. They had the levels and the experience on Han. They had the levels and the experience. The same thing. Anyways, levels and gold on Hani. They had it on Bad Rider as well, and they're looking for Fada again, and they're going to find him here as Hani, as well as Fly and No-Tail, pick him up for the second time within a minute. And that's not something you want to look for in the Timbersaw. Yeah, he's got his Bloodstone, but 3 charges really not going to allow him to do all that much. And unfortunately, DD, they don't have a lot of right-click damage. Sachka isn't going to provide all that much. Even if you land a good Overgrowth, what are you going to do? Is Mania is picked off in the middle lane as well. BKB pop by Ani, they're just going to look for it. Instead, No-Tail looking to find the kill on Exist, and they're just going to find the Rubik instead. And Exist, he's level 11, but he doesn't have level 2 wall. Not a mech to his name either. He's not going to be able to trade or look to turn anything around. As a lot of the DD lineup relies on having the rest of your team, and unfortunately they're getting picked off by Fnatic, who thrive on pickoffs here with the heroes like Bad Rider as well as Fly, especially that Fly has gotten himself a decent amount of levels, already level 11 with the level 2 Vendetta. Impressive amount of burst damage here from Fnatic.
I just feel like it's too much. I don't know if DD can actually handle this. The thing for DD is that they need an initiation. Hold on, here goes the initiation. Arrow's going to fly, but does not connect with anybody, unfortunately. But now, Arrow, he's deep in the fray. He doesn't really mind. He's got the hood to tank him up. He has time-lapse available, too. Look at him just burst him down, though. He falls so quickly before anybody on Fnatic could even react. And now, Fada, he's looking to chase down Hani. Hani's on the run. We might just have an Arrow coming down in just a few seconds. The stun from Fly is going to buy some time. Arrow goes out onto Fly. Fly able to pop the Carapace, but not fast enough. They are just attacking him over the hills, but meanwhile, Weaver is back. Connie's in there as well. The wall goes up for Darkseer. Trixie gonna go ahead and latch onto Exist, but it does not matter. DD dropping like flies. Fada goes down now. The only survivor is going to be Mirana, but still getting chased down from Era. This could just be a 5-man wipe. He's diving deep. The bugs are just eating Shashka alive. Era does not mind diving this far. A few more right-click attacks. That's going to do it. And GG is called buried. DD couldn't handle this.
The Hani bus has no brakes. The Hani bus had too many passengers. It got too quick. Never went below 50. And the bomb just... it just went off. You couldn't stop it. I know my speed reference was kind of off. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. But either way, Fnatic take game 1 in our best out of 3 series here at the first game of the Haste Cup in the Netolic Pro League 4th edition. Thanks for watching, guys. Game 2 will be coming to you very, very soon.
because of you. I haven't something so long. Where do I dream of floating in the ocean, longing for the shore where I can lay my head down inside these arms of yours. All because of you. I believe in angels, not the kind with wings, no, not the kind with haters, the kind that bring you home when home becomes a strange place. I'll follow your voice. All you have to do is shout it out.
Well, this is probably my last chance.
Mine too.
It's now or never.
Rain falls hard, wash
So, welcome back, guys. Thanks for watching so far. This is the Netolic Pro League 4th edition. This is the first game in the Haste Cup, and there will be 4 other cups. Cups are divided 1 per week. The winner of each cup gets $1,000, and then the winners of the cups go against each other in best out of 3, double elimination with a loser's bracket, into the finals with a grand prize of $6,000. I've been Barry, and with me is Proof. How are you, Proof, after a fantastic game 1?
Game 1 was absolutely great. Couldn't really ask for more, to be honest with you. There weren't a whole lot of just big team fight engagements. There were a lot of small pickoffs, but there were enough small pickoffs that it made a big difference in the grand scheme of the game. And then Fnatic just managed to take it out of DD to DD, fighting for their life here. But I don't know. Last game was just interesting because I felt like DD, they didn't really have late game 2 available to themselves unless they completely dominated early game. And unfortunately, they didn't absolutely dominate early game, so it was really rough to win mid and late game.
Well, my concern is that they picked this really defensive lineup. I mean, you had the Darkseer who moved into the jungle early. You have the Tramp Protector to really just help out sustainability in all of the other lanes. And you look to go late with defensive team against Shadow Fiend and Weaver. That's just not going to happen, especially when the early game goes as poorly as it did for DD. But this is a whole new game, so we might see something different. And apparently Twitch chat thinks I'm a girl, and I'm perfectly fine with that. You can think whatever you like. You want to make a hashtag out of it and knock yourself out. I can do whatever you want, as long as it satisfies you.
That's Barry's Arrested Development voice.
Is it?
Yes.
Huh.
Have you ever seen Arrested Development?
I've actually never seen Arrested
Okay,
Development.
you sound like a guy named Job in it.
Job?
Yeah. You sound like exactly like him. It cracks me up every single time.
I can live with that. Fnatic right away, taking the exact same bans they did last game. Naga Siren and the Abaddon. Both very, very strong. Naga Siren, we've seen her play every single role, I think. We've seen her played as a core. I know Miracle played a core last season. She's been played as a support. She's also been played as an offlaner, I think, once or twice, frankly. And right away, Batrider makes it through the banning phase once again, and Fnatic pick it up as well. Surprising, Obsidian actually slips through this time, and it's picked up right away by DD. And this is the combo. This is the combo Proof. OD Tramp Protector. How many times do people talk about this and how strong OD Treant is? How do you beat OD Treant?
You don't?
No.
I don't know. It's going to be tough. And this is hopefully going to be the game that DD needs to be able to pull out a win and force a game 3 out of Fnatic. But last game, the draft was almost the same. You saw instead of the Darkseer getting banned out, the OD was actually banned out. And Batrider didn't get a ban still. So Fnatic were able to slip him on through once again to have him on their lineup. And DD, they pick up the Treant to try and help again. But is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough with that OD in the mid lane? OD packs a very powerful punch, and we'll see if it's going to be enough for DD. The band, they're going to start coming out here. We have Razor banned out, courtesy of DD. Weaver, as well as the Elder Titan, going to get nixed here from Fnatic.
Well, the Razor ban is pretty reasonable. I mean, if you can't beat the OD mid, the least you can do is prevent him to have an easy time last hitting, and Razor would be the resource for that, taking all of his auto attack damage with the static link. Because, I mean, usually what you want to go with is a right-click based mid. Something like, you know, the Kunkka or even the Dragon Knight, even the Viper, as we talked about, to try and beat down the OD out of this mid lane because you're not relying on mana. And once he's picked up the Tramp Protector, he doesn't care about right-clicks either, so you can't really pick a mid against this, and especially that DD have banned out the Razor. They've banned out the Shadow Fiend as well. They're not going to allow farming mids to be there either. The interesting that they picked up the Gyro so quickly here is it is probably going to be a defensive tri-lane with the Gyro, the Treant, plus one more support. It's rare that we see Treant Protector partake in an offensive tri-lane. That would be kind of weird, frankly. There wouldn't be that much offensive power in the Treant Protector. But right away, Fnatic pick up the safe shot, which is the Lone Druid. And Proof, apparently you're Shiver. Are you Shiver, Proof? Are you Shiver?
I might be like Shiver incarnate or something. I don't know, but if people want to think I'm Shiver, I guess that's okay. I have mad respect for Shiver and everything that she does for the Dota community. But I'm sorry, Guys, I'm not Shiver, unfortunately. I'm not even related to Shiver. I'm not even from the same country as Shiver. Okay, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am very American, so definitely not Shiver. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's probably just Twitch trolling.
It's okay. I will always team Canada because Canada is best. Either way, Pugna is the 4th pick from Fnatic. I haven't seen a Pugna pick in man. I don't even remember. When was the last time you've seen a Pugna pick, Prue?
It's
I haven't
been
seen Pugna just forever.
Really long time, to be honest with you. But Fnatic, they can push towers very, very effectively. You have the Lone Druid, you have the Chin Creeps, you have the Pugna Nether Blast, you have the Ward to protect you while you're pushing these towers. That's going to make it hard for DD to defend against. And then on top of all that, you have the Chin Hand of God, you're going to have the Chin Mech, and then you have Batrider, who whenever DD decides to defend a tower, you always have to be aware that that Batrider might just jump in with a Blink Dagger and completely isolate one of your heroes. So Fnatic's drafting last game and this game have just been really, really brilliant. And DD, I like their draft so far. They do have the Bane, who provides a lot of utility and is very effective at minusing the damage that your carry is going to do. And then you have Gyro and OD, who are going to be able to pack really, really hard right clicks. But is it going to be enough? If you lose all your towers and you're forced to turtle, Fnatic is going to have such a gold advantage that DD might just not have a chance to get back into this game. We'll see.
Hear me out. Pugna mid. I see this as being a doable up against the Our World Destroyer. As long as you play it safe and you don't allow yourself to constantly be Astral imprisoned, as long as you can get the Nether Ward up prior to the Astral, OD's actually going to take a decent amount of damage from this. And he's going to get drained the mana. And I think it's a decent harassment there. But the only thing that could go sour is if Pugna does get Astral too much, he's not going to have enough mana to cast anything, which any other mid is going to suffer with. And Shadow Shaman is actually the 5th pick up here from Fnatic. And
I love
take
it.
Take me back to 2011 Dota when you used to see Shadow Shaman mid picking up the Blink Dagger early game. Please, I want to see this kind of stuff because it's been so long since I've seen a Shadow Shaman played. And Shadow Shaman is strong. There's a lot of potential in that, depending on where they decide to lane them here. And frankly, Fnatic's laning phase, to me, looks very similar to what they did last game. In last game, it was very intuitive and very adaptive, especially that DD have picked up the Treant Protector once again.
All right, you guys, Fnatic on the Radiant side, once again, Trixie is going to be on that Batrider. Hani will be on the Lone Druid. Bottom lane, Notel is going to be your jungler once again on that Chin, not Jen. I have a flashback to Tekken. Sorry, guys. Fly is going to be on the Shadow Shaman, and Era, once again, he's going to be on Pugna this game. But how often do you actually see such a push-heavy lineup from Fnatic? I mean, this is going to be insane, but look at this. DD, before we can even get introductions for them, they're going to go ahead and chase down Era. I don't know if they're going to be able to quite get that started off, and they are not actually going to be able to. So maybe try and introduce them before anything happens in the woods here.
Well, Era's only got Nether Blast. Not going to be all that useful. Especially that they don't have that much lockdown yet, as Fnatic is only going to have level 1. So over on the DD team, we've got somebody who likes to change their name between games. Arise playing on our Windrunner. Bucking Mad going to be playing on the Bane. Once again, Mania going to be on our Treant Protector. Mid lane, Sachka moving past the mid towards the top. And Fata once again playing mid, this time on the Outworld Destroyer. No Tail once again playing the defensive jungler role. He has actually started with the exact same items as well. One set of each wards in a smoke. DD now and Bucky Mad. They could look to make something of it here. They've got 3 down in this bottom lane. No Tail, Fly as well as Era, but apparently Bucking Mad wants to get pretty aggressive with this here. He thinks he's got a DD. He's got his living armor. He wants to get pretty aggressive with it. Frankly, he's going to have the support from Arise. He can look to do so, especially if Arise decides he wants to level up Power Shot here quite early. Bane deals 140 damage already to Shadow Shaman, so it's a pretty scary matchup. And mid lane is going to be Hani on the Lone Druid up against Fata here. And Lone Druid, one of the counters I think we might have discounted to go up against the Outworld Destroyer.
You know, that's a really interesting lineup, and I've never thought about that before, about putting the lone druid there, because he doesn't need the mana. The spirit bearer is going to be able to get in there and get the creep kills. He's going to be able to harass OD out of the lane. So this is actually really, really interesting and a matchup that I haven't seen before, but I actually do like it. Bottom lane, you have Fly as well as Era down here, two support casters on this bottom lane, but look at the right clicks that Arise is just laying down on top of Hani.
Well, you've set yourself up, Arise as well as Bane. They're both very strong early game right clicks in terms of support heroes, and they've got a decent attack animation, and both of them have good range on their attacks as well. So it's going to be a pretty scary lane to deal with, especially that you've got the Treant Protector getting solo experience from pulling Sachka's top lane here, and Sachka's getting solo as well. He's already picked up a Magic Wand, so Bat Rider isn't going to be an issue because he's just going to be able to get the free charges there from the sticky Napalm spam. And Trixie, already level 2. There is, unfortunately, I don't think there can be all that much rotation from Fnatic unless they really want to get devoted. I mean, Era, Pugna isn't really a rotation-friendly hero. You can get the smoke, but he's just really squishy. He can be turned around on so quickly, especially that if the living armor is quick enough, it's going to negate a lot of the Nether Blast damage. So I like the dual lanes that DD are running. It allows them quite a bit more versatility in terms of experience. I feel like DD have just kind of really adapted to what they saw last game. They said, hey, Fnatic, that's not a bad idea. I think we're going to try that as well next game and, run two dual lanes and try and share the experience.
Trixie trying to do stuff in his lane. He's getting close enough for the experience, which is at least good for him. Now, Shashka, he's going to lay some harassment onto Trixie, try and push him off the lane just a little bit. Bottom lane looks like a confrontation is going to happen. Bucking mad. He's in some trouble, and now Rise just might be picked off here as well. Gets hexed during the wind run. A few more right clicks, but it's not going to be enough. No way that Fnatic can dive the tower on this bottom lane. Notel even getting in on the action. TP is going to come back immediately from Bucking Mad. And look at Era. He's low HP. If they can get a sleep off on him or even a brain sap, that pure damage is going to do a lot. Fly. It's going to latch onto Rise. Even Notel there with the stun from the center. This is going to be a kill on him once again. But now Notel is going to pay for it with his own life. Era in deep gets picked off as well. Bucking Mad is going to go down. Asleep onto Fly. Fly still has plenty of HP, so he's just fine. But look at these supports just doing damage to each other on this bottom lane.
Well, bottom lane's a party.
It is.
Fnatic do still come out of it on top. They picked up 3. They also picked up the first blood out of it as well. And yeah, the double kill on Bane is good, but Arise is level 3. And Pugna does have a level advantage here. He's got 1 level in the ward now, so it's going to get very difficult for Windrunner and Bane to start spamming out abilities. It's going to get costly, and it's going to get really, really painful, especially that Chen. Notel doing such a fantastic job. We see his Meepo micro skills carry over so often when he plays heroes like Chen and Enchantress, just because of how attentive he is to the micro of these jungle creeps. And right away, no, fucking mad. Not going to look to block the stack or the pull there. It's not warded, or it's actually either way. Instead, the Nightmare does come out on top of Era, but the Power Shot does miss. Era just retreating back to his tower. They do have the opportunity to look for it. He does drop the Nether Blast and the ward. Unfortunately, Arise not going to be able to cast any abilities to turn it around, but right away, the Treant armor doing quite a bit, but he will go down, unfortunately. And Bucking Mad can't turn around on Era with that ward sitting there, unfortunately. So 1-to-1 is going to be the trade again as these supports just go down. Unfortunately, there isn't a carry benefiting from these supports. If anything, it's going to be Sachka in this top lane, who's just so far separated from the action that he's just going to sit here and farm. 27-1, having a pretty big lasted lead over the rest of his team and the rest of the opponent team here.
Stick 4 or 5 support nukers all in one lane, and there's bound to be action happening. I know, you can't just sit there and not use your spells all over the place, so I like it. Now mid lane, we have Arise sneaking around to see if he can deal with Hani. He's got to be able to get a shackle shot on the bear at least, but looks like Hani, he's a little wise about what's happening, blocks the creeps a little bit to pull it back, and I don't know, the tower is just so close in this mid lane that it's going to take a lot to be able to take him down. Even Bucking Mad is here to see if he can help out, but Hani is being super defensive. And it looks like they're just going to have to go ahead and call it off. There's got to be Mia calls coming down from the bottom lane on the Radiant side, letting Hani know that there are 2 heroes missing on this lane and to be careful. And he is indeed being careful, but now looks like they might just have a go for him. They're sneaking around. The Rise, hit the power shot, or the shackle shot rather, is going to be lined up. There it goes, onto the trees. The Banish helping out with that. The right clicks from Fada is going to secure this. Hani goes down in the mid lane. Evening the score up. It's going to be 4-4.
Well, they had to bring him down before 6. At that point, as soon as the Lone Druid hit 6, especially in that middle lane, he was going for the True Form build as well. He did take 2 levels in Synergy, and right away that signals that he's going to take True Form at 6. And you cannot allow the Lone Druid to hit 6 without at least dying once. Because of how much damage the Lone Druid is going to be able to put out with the sustainability of True Form, he's going to become almost ungankable with his levels in Synergy as well. A lot of armor, really tanky, and at that point you would probably be able to push OD out of the lane. And now that OD is going to be able to claim a level advantage, Fata does have his buckler now as well off of that kill. It's going to be harder for Hani to come back and make something of it here. But down in the bottom lane, the action is still going on with Sachka now making the rotation. 2 are going to go down, and for once, none of the DD supports trade their lives for it here, giving them a lead 6-4 now, with Sachka coming down for the experience and the gold, phase boots, and 700 gold in his pocket. What are your thoughts on what Sachka should build first?
He's had such decent farm early on, you know, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some bigger items come out. Helm of the Dominator might help out to kind of do the Ancients and whatnot, but hold on. Mid lane, Hani is getting dove on once again. Shashka there with the Rocket Barrage to deal a lot of damage, but now the Spirit Bearer, he's getting some entangles off on Fada. Fada forced to retreat, and they're not going to be able to secure a kill on Hani this time. Big attempt in doing so, but couldn't quite manage it.
Just too tanky. Pops the healing salve, able to back out, but right away, DD aren't done. They're looking to continue the aggression. They know they might have made the mistake last game of not being aggressive enough with the possible sustainability on your rotations that you can have with the Treant Protector's constant living armor. And with that, the pings go out. Trixie says, screw this, I'm out of here. I'm going to hide in my Radiant side tower jungle because I felt that gank coming from a mile away. And he's going to be safe. Although OD stays in the middle lane, Fata, he's either going to look to catch Trixie on the back end of that tower, if they look to make a dive, or look for vulnerability on Hani. But in that trade, they are going to lose their bottom tier 1 here. Era. Doug now has level 4 Nether Blast. He could even look to push a tier 2, but they are going to take the Lone Druid in the middle lane here. I apologize, I am talking way too much over these fights. Whoop.
It's okay. The camera's got it. It's completely fine. Going back to what Sashka might be building, you know, early BKB might not be a bad idea considering Fnatic's lineup. You have so much lockdown out of that Shadow Shaman that you might just want to do that. The bad thing about the BKB though is that the Flaming Lasso is going to go through it, the Bear's Entangle is going to go through it, but it will protect you from all the mini spells that Fnatic does have. And I don't think that Sashka is going to be allowed time to farm and go really late game because Fnatic is going to be able to put a lot of pressure on early on, and he might just need to get some good early game items to be able to really compete with that.
Well, they need to blink on that again. I mean, this is one of the big turning points that they're going to need for Trixie once again, is they need to be able to look for these pickoffs. There's a little bit of contest in the middle lane. The call down is there. Not much is going to come out of it, unfortunately, as Hani is still full health. They do have No Tail. He's not level 6. The Hand of God isn't going to be available just yet for No Tail to use, but they do have Era, and Era does have level 4 Nether Blast to put the creep wave as well as the tower down very quickly if they're able to get their hands on it. And this bear jumps to the Soul Siege, but right away they're dropping the Fiend's Grip on No Tail. They don't even want the possibility of him attaining 6 during this fight. And with that, Odie goes down as well. A second one is going to be the Bane. They can't cast abilities. The Nether Ward is down, and they're just getting beat up by this Nether Ward, and Bat Rider's in here as well. The TP coming in on the fire. Mania's going to go down as well, and Fada making a look at trade on fly, but right away he's just going to banish the Bat, and with that, the Hex is going to allow him to escape, and right away Trixie taking a lot of damage from Arcane Orb. Just a few more right clicks, all it's going to take him down, but he is going to escape back to the Radiant side as Fly is sent back by Chen there. As Fnatic take 2 kills, securing them that fight there as well, with the buyback from Fata. Still putting him back from finishing his mechanism.
They lose to Chin. Chin not level 6 yet, so Hand of God was not available. Blink Dagger is not up yet on the Batrider as well, so Fnatic didn't have their full force there, but neither did DD. They didn't have the call down when that fight started out. Call down was expended earlier on, so that wasn't available anymore. So it was a decent fight. It is still 8-8, but we'll see what really happens when the teams bring everything to the table in these next few minutes. But we are nearing the 11th minute mark, so gosh, I'm gonna have to kick my cat out of the room real fast. So sorry guys, the camera is gonna have to stay still for a moment while nothing's going on, while I boot my cat out of here. Hold on.
Well, either way, I can do a radio version of this for you if you'd like. And Buckingham, as well as Arise, moving through the Radiant jungle. They're looking for a kill on Chen. They're looking to find him. They are spotted out. Or, excuse me, the smoke does end. My mistake. And maybe they're looking for a loop round in the mid lane. But the question is that, do they have the manpower here to take this fight in the middle lane if it's necessary? They have the supports waiting in the wing. Buckingham, as well as Arise, are sitting here. And they have the positioning. Hani as well as Fly, they're in the river. This would be the prime moment when this creep wave steps into the river. They're not going to have the back vision to see up onto the side when they come around the corner. The tower will spot them out, but it might have been too late. And on that, they'll just back out there, unfortunately. Another smoke is picked up by Buckingham, and it's being sent out to him right now. They are very adamant on these smoke ganks, and they are really looking to make this happen. They realized their mistake last game was a lack of aggression, and they're trying to make up for it this game. But my concern is that, are they losing too much in these attempts at aggression?
I feel like Shashka, he should be the one off farming, not Mania. Mania should be there looking to be with the fight and, you know, with all of DD, and Shashka should be the one farming the top lane when it's safe to do so and keep getting those items up. He has a TP, so he can get to any of the towers that he needs to get to in time. And I mean, Mania, it's great to have those levels. Previously, he didn't have his ultimate either, so could possibly be why we saw him on the top lane trying to get that level 6, because he does need it for these team fights. But the Gyro, he had a pretty decent early game. He's sitting at 61 CS, which isn't incredibly high. 12 minutes to this game, but hold on as we have a fight. Trixie, he's going to get Fiend's Grip right off the bat. Call down is going to just completely annihilate him. Shashka, the benefactor of that kill, Bane being a little bit of that as well. Good pickup on them, though.
Very easy solo kill with the Fiend's Grip and the call down. Finally, some use out of that call down here from Sachka. Unfortunately, he hadn't seen much of it up until then. Just a lot of defensive call downs that really didn't catch all that much here. In the middle lane, Fly and Hani relentlessly trying to push down this tier 1, and Fata is just not going away. Fly says, screw it, we've got the bear in the wards. Try and stop us with your living armor. That's not going to happen. This is going to be the middle tier 1 here for the Radiant. TPs are coming in looking to stop it, but are they going to be able to? Mania comes in, kind of an awkward position. The bear is still out, but Buckingham's here as well. Can they find the damage? They do have the Chen creeps here as well. The net to Fly, they're looking to bring down Mania before the ultimate position is there, and they will find it as well as force the Bane out here as they take a tier 1 and a kill. A little bit of a misplay, possibly a little bit of miscommunication as well from DD.
I feel like now is the time where Fnatic starts getting that momentum going, because you have the level 6 on everybody on their side, so the push is going to come down in full swing. Already the mid tower is down, already the bottom tower is down, and we see the gold graph starting to swing now in the favor of Fnatic. Not by much, but the more towers they take down, the more it's going to happen. The experience graphs are pretty even so far. The experience is very spread out. The team fights have been completely even thus far, 9-9. So the experience is really not an issue right now. But as you get more gold going in the way of Fnatic, they're just going to really secure their mid game and be able down further into the base and start getting tier 3 towers as well as the Raxes and whatnot. So DD, like you said, they learned their lesson last time by being aggressive, and that's definitely what they need to do. They need to be aggressive this game, but they also have to be very careful in making sure that they position themselves well for these team fights and defending. Look at this tower just drop. There's not even a big defense that DD can do from it. It just takes so much damage so quickly with Fnatic's heroes. And now Trixie, he's going in for the lasso. He can manage to slack onto Buckingham. Buckingham doesn't even have time to get his Fiend's Grip off. Now Shashka, he's already netted down from the Chin Creeps. Hand of God is going to get popped just to give Fnatic all the more HP. Trixie chasing down Mania. Mania is going to try and TP out of here, but in the meantime, Fata, he's going to banish himself. He's not going to survive through it. He is surrounded on all sides by enemies. Only 2 survivors. Going to be your windrunner, who wasn't even in that fight, was looking to get a tower trade. Does manage to get the tower trade, actually. but everybody else went down other than that Treant Protector and Windrunner, and now the tier 2 tower is going to get pushed this is just so much gold going for Fnatic.
It's really not looking good for DD right now. I mean, the life of Pugna, of Era is fantastic. He is just finding these great positions for the Nether Wards, and they're pushing DD into these really messy fights that force them to react instantly on the spot and blow all their ultimates, which is just absolutely devastating when you've got the Nether Ward down, which is now level 4. And the best thing is that they're forcing DD into their most vulnerable position here. Gyro isn't finished his BKB, and this is when Gyro is at his weakest, when you're at the point where you're at the transitioning phase between the BKB and your first damage item, where he's not going to do very much damage, and you're going to have an advantage when you've got a lot of burst on Bad Rider here. When the fight is going to go down, they are able to look to catch Bucking Mad. He does bring him down. There won't be a Fiend's Grip in this fight. And right away, Hani, just the luck on Hani for these entangles. They didn't even have an Aegis, and they're still confident enough to push this base. Can they stop it? This could be the GG. This is the first Rax at 16 minutes here. And right away, Trixie blinking in, catching a Rise. The burst is there from the Shadow Shaman. All they need is one more right click, and that's going to be the end of the Rise. Possibly Sachka as well.
I don't know how you defend this,
Unfortunately,
honestly.
your damage just isn't impressive enough. Fly low health, he's just going to back out. Buybacks galore from 2. They need to stop this, but is it even going to be worth it? Is it going to be worth it? The TPs are coming back in there, looking to jump back into this fight. Mania doesn't have a blink or any way to get him back into this fight, and they are going to be satisfied with taking the melee. Rax, as well as an unbelievable amount of kills. Bane is able to find the straggling Shadow Shaman, though, might be Chen here as well. It's fucking mad, and Fachkar looking to make the chase. He's looking for the stun. Can he find the stun on the chase? And they know it's there. They know Chen is waiting for it, but he's actually just going to send the creeps in the opposite direction. And unfortunately, no tail. The ulta dropped. See you later, my friend. 2 go down, but they made the trade of 2 towers and a melee barracks in the span of 3 minutes, as well as several kills there. So they know their window is now to push. They've got so much pushing potential in the Shadow Shaman. They've got so much in the Pugna and the Chen. It's a why not situation. Why not push now while Sachka is still trying to build his defensive items, and it's going to be at least 10 minutes before he even begins to build his offensive ones. So there just isn't enough damage on DD to turn these fights around, and there's still Hand of God on Fnatic. So it's really not looking all that good for DD right now.
It's not looking good, but I feel like the longer that this game goes on, the more that Fnatic is going to start falling off in their push strategy. But now Bucking Mad almost gets shackled of his own, but actually Fly is going to get shackled to the tree from the stand-in, actually. And now here you go with a big ultimate that doesn't do too much damage. Bucking Mad goes down the backfield, and now Call Down is going to be launched out. Mania taking a lot of damage from the fire that Trixie is laying down. Trixie gets out of here fine. Fly latches on to Shashka, but Mania goes down in the background, and now a nice shackle on 2. That's going to be on Era and Fly, but there's no one left. There's no one left to do damage from that beautiful shackle. Now the rocket's going to fly. It's going to get destroyed before it can connect to Era. But it's such a tough game for DD. But if they can somehow manage to turtle and defend and push this game to 40 minutes or so, then you have that OD and Gyro who are going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage. And as Fnatic gets later into this game, their pushes aren't going to be as effective. But if they get a Rax or 2 Raxes, it's going to be rough for DD to really be able to defend against that throughout the whole game. And they've just got to be able to punch back right now. But it's very hard for them to do so. And now Bucking Mad, he gets hexed out from Fly. Now he has the living armor on him, but it's just not going to be enough. Even the shackles are going to burn that living armor down. And the backfield, Fada goes down due to the Pugna just blasting him out. Trixie going to grab a hold of a Rise. A Rise up on the cliff gets picked out as well. The fight is everywhere now. No-Tail getting Fiend Script in the backfield. Mania looking to get out of here. He's still got 2 allies nearby, but there's a lot of harassment coming down from Fnatic. The ultimate is going to be popped. Overgrowth on everybody. Entangle on top of Shashka. Mania and fucking Mad trying to make their grand escape, but it's not going to be enough. Mania trying his best. 5-man wipe. GG is called. Fnatic takes this 2-0.
Era cleaning house on that Pugna. Apparently the Pugna pick was the best thing they could have done. Came way out of left field, and he has played it phenomenally. The burst damage he's gotten on these 2- and 3-man Nether Blasts has been just too much for DD to deal with here, as I think they ran into a lot of the issues they did last game. They picked a pretty solid draft, but Fnatic just took too much of an advantage out of the early game and they made use of the window that they were given, and they made such use out of it that unfortunately DD are not able to push off of their back foot and get back into this game here. I mean, they've got the Treant, and their aggression just wasn't enough, unfortunately. They weren't able to gain enough ground, and Shen just made too much of a difference. So much so that Era was legitimately able to pick up a Dagon and able to do much with it.
You know, great series to start off this tournament so far. Fnatic takes it 2-0, but DD, they put up such a good fight, but they just couldn't handle it. I am such a fan of push strats that I was just kind of trying to hide how excited I was about the push strat, but they're just so strong, and you don't see heavy push strats in the meta these days. But I like what Fnatic did. Fly, great captaining on this draft. It was so fun to watch. You win Dota by taking Throne. You don't win Dota by farming. You don't win Dota. I'm serious. You don't win by kills, and you don't win by farming. You win games by taking the Throne. And push strats, they take the Throne. That's what they do.
It's true.
So
They can be as annoying as they want. They still win games. And that is going to be the end of our first series, guys. Unfortunately, it is the only series that we are going to have today. Tomorrow is going to be, excuse me, I think it's actually Life versus EG is going to be tomorrow's series. And that will be Ever and Proof. I will be running stats for that game, as well as a little bit of here and there voice, because I'm sure you'd like to hear it. Although I love to hear the sound of my own voice sometimes. I know.
we know, Barry. We know.
I know.
Well, you guys,
Anyways,
that is
thanks
it.
for watching.
Yeah, if you enjoyed our casting, feel free to follow us both on Twitter. You can find me at ProveDota, and you can find Barry at the Barry Nation. Tomorrow's going to be Ever. Follow him at EverX. He is a great caster, and I hope you guys really enjoy him casting with me. It will be great, you guys. Be sure to join us, and thanks for joining us today. Great numbers, great turnout, great plays from both the teams, and I expect nothing but good things to come in the future of this tournament. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you join us. Follow us on this Twitch chat to be notified when we go live. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day.
As usual, have yourselves a glorious day, folks.